From Alabama, let's start with a question from Jennifer.
I crave a sense of control from growing up in a chaotic household, but now as an adult, it's costing me my relationships and inner peace. How do I keep my emotions and trauma from holding me back?
Jennifer, Josh, your thoughts?
I was going to say, I think Ryan wrote this question under an alias.
Yeah,
That's funny. I thought he wrote the question.
Yeah, Jennifer, I think it's so... well, I think that's such a powerful question because it really does speak to exactly what we were talking about previously around past ways of being in the world that were actually functional. And I think that's really important. So, Jennifer, a core part of my work is really about self-compassion. And I think that this is really important. And for everyone who's listening right now, I invite you just for a moment to recognize that there is a 5-year-old inside you. We all walk through the world in our armor. We've got our clothes and our shoes and our way of being and our introduction and our elevator pitch, and we've got all of this stuff. But beneath all of it, there is a 5-year-old inside of us. And that 5-year-old is very often just like tugging us on our shirt and saying, see me, see me, love me. And so I think a really important part of recognizing that the past strategies no longer serve the current is bringing first and foremost self-compassion to that 5-year-old inside of you who was trying to figure out life. And for everyone who's listening, it's like, what is the 5-year-old inside of you asking for right now? Does the 5-year-old need more spontaneity or more creativity, connection? Does the 5-year-old need you to just, like, even physically put your arms around yourself and just say, I've got you, I'm here for you? It becomes very difficult to move forward in your power, Jennifer, unless you are taking your 5-year-old with you. And so if that little 5-year-old was coming to you and telling you what it needs right now, just holding that 5-year-old is really very powerful. Because we can't move to the, well, what do you do and how do you, unless we are actually walking in integrity with that 5-year-old. And then the other person we want to walk with integrity with is the person who's maybe 20 years older or 30 years older than you. So I don't know how old you are, Jennifer, but imagine you're 30. What does the 50-year-old or what does the 70-year-old in you need? Because there is a 70-year-old in you that is also saying, see me and love me and be kind to me. And that 70-year-old is also asking you to kind of let go of some things, connect with some things, to see yourself. That 70-year-old is also giving you advice. And psychologically, this is called continuity of the self. And really what continuity of the self is, it's very powerful. We think about astronauts will often talk about this. Astronauts will often talk about how when they go into outer space, they see the blob of the earth as they get more and more away from the earth. They see the blob of the earth and they recognize that the blob of the earth is like a pinprick. And that pinprick of the world reminds them simultaneously of their insignificance. Okay, your insignificance and your significance. Your insignificance and your significance and your power as a person. And so what is continuity of the self? Continuity of the self is often when we are feeling triggered in a particular environment or in a relationship, or when we're shutting ourselves down from love or opportunities, we are seeing ourselves only in this moment in time, which is the current me who feels threatened or who feels stuck. But just starting to call in your board of advisors, which is your childhood self as well as your older self, and getting advice from them allows us to develop the sense of continuity where we now are no longer just in the moment with ourselves, but we are also in the moment with our past and our future. So I could speak more about various aspects of this, and I'm sure Jennifer, as we get to other questions, there are going to be some answers that connect very much with what you are describing here as other strategies that are helpful. But I think just kind of breathing into the beauty of you, not in a way that's false, not in a way that's forced, not in a way that says just be positive, but in a way that recognizes that compassion is extraordinary. If you don't mind, I'd love to again. I feel like I'm being very nerdy here, but I want to kind of play out something that happens that we've all seen as to why self-compassion is so important. So all of us have been into a restaurant where we've seen a little kid, maybe 18 months old or 2 years old, and there's this beautiful scene that unfolds in front of us, which is you've got this little child, the child sitting at the table with parents or caregivers, and the child decides that now they're going to go and explore the restaurant. They're going to go kind of look around.
I was that kid, by the way.
Yeah. They're going to go say hello to everyone. They're going to go and like fiddle with the splendor and like do what kids do.
Right.
And the child does something so beautiful. The child climbs off its chair and it like runs a couple of steps forward. And then what does it do? It actually, you see it. And if you do developmental studies in psychology, you literally see this unfolding before your eyes, which is the child runs. I'm being curious, I'm being whatever. And then the child looks back at the table, sees that the parents or caregivers are still there. And then what does it do? Does it go back to the parents or caregivers? No, it doesn't. It explores even more. So what you are seeing here, John Bowlby, the beautiful psychologist John Bowlby, described this idea as what the child is doing is the child is in a space of secure attachment. It is the knowledge that if something happens, if I'm under threat, that my parents or caregivers are going to be able to come in and help me. It is literally the knowledge of the secure base that enables the child to learn, to be curious, to take risks, to grow, and to explore. So this is what self-compassion does. Self-compassion is that principle psychologically applied to the self. You can't go through life without having your heart broken. You can't go through life without learning, without losing your job sometimes, without things like just not going according to plan. So this knowledge that when, not if, when things don't go according to plan, that you will love yourself. And if you're watching this video stream, like when doctors are going in to give bad news, we often ask them to do this, to like literally physically hug themselves and hold themselves. Because we often live in our heads. But we are tactile. We are human. So when we do this, we're grounding ourselves in our humanity and in our hearts. And there's something so beautiful in that. And so self-compassion is quite literally the idea that when things go poorly, you will hug yourself. You will say to yourself, not you stupid idiot, why did you do that? You'll say, Susie, you know, you did the best you could in the circumstance. In other words, the knowledge that you have your own back is the essence of what allows you to explore, to be curious, to be vulnerable.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.